Thursday, August 8th, I'm Adam Walsh, and you're listening to a special live Out and About edition of The Signal. And we are 1 year out from the Canada Games for Newfoundland and Labrador, and that's what we are talking about here today. Let me do the math. 364 days, carry the 11 hours, 54 minutes, and, 29 seconds until the games begin. And let's see what's involved with starting these games. Like people, volunteers, athletes, all the different venues are in and around St. John's and the surrounding region. I'm going to bring in someone to talk about all of this. The CEO, Karen Sheriffs. How you doing?
Hi, Adam. Thanks for having us.
First of all, tell folks it's almost like we're in a big echoey church, but it's not a church, right?
No, it's not. It is the 2025 Canada Games Host Society Volunteer Center. So we have just moved in, and you can see all the amazing signage, transformation here of this facility, and we look forward to welcoming thousands of volunteers coming through these doors to help us execute 2025.
Yeah, so if you're driving by in St. John's, it is at Corpus Christi, and it's quite a nice little spot. I was looking at the, my math is not good. I'm a journalist, not to stereotype us, but we do have that countdown clock. How does it feel when you look at the countdown clock for the games?
It feels exciting to look at the countdown clock. We have an amazing team of staff, volunteers, board of directors who are actively involved in helping us plan this event, and this just is bringing us one day closer to welcoming the country to our province and our city and surrounding communities.
When did you become CEO? How does that even happen? How does one become CEO of all this?
Well, I was lucky enough to be with the City of St. John's and lead the city through the bid process, and I was offered the position at CEO position and started in February of 2022.
So then you start February 2022, right? You're looking ahead, one or two things to do. How do you come up with a big plan for everything, for what has to happen for next year?
Well, with the Canada Games comes we have 40 functional areas that we're working towards and building. So started with one, and our team of board of directors, chaired by Kim Keating and Carl Smith. And then we start working away at picking at all the different pieces. We start growing our staff team. We currently have a staff team of 60 staff. We currently have over 400 planning volunteers. So this time last year, we were a team of less than 20, and now we are a team of 60. So we're working through each of the various functions, everything from medical, the transportation, all the capital projects, sports schedules. Version 1 is ready now. So you start gradually growing your teams and growing your volunteer support to be able to do that.
And now, we're doing this show today, but there's been, for 1 year out, but there's been a pile of stuff on the go. I was involved with one bit Monday night. I am bad at baseball.
We all were.
Yeah, it was, oh my gosh. We were, this quote unquote, celebrity, so we had a bunch of mayors. We had some great athletes, Adam Party was there, Caitlin Osmond, there were some great people on the team, and then myself and Chrissy Holmes, who were, bottom of the lineup, but we rooted for everyone. Tell us about some of the events for the 1 year out that happened, including this baseball game.
Yeah, so the 1 year out celebrations, which was sponsored by CA, I have to put that in because we cannot do this without community partners and sponsors and businesses and organizations. So we kicked off the week with the 1 year out community baseball event with live music and food and a great battle against a wonderful U21 female baseball team.
They are so good, and they with the mercy rule, they beat us 11-0, I believe,
yes,
and did not even break a sweat.
No, they did not.
We did, but they did not.
And those pitches coming across the plate were quite scary.
Oh.
So it was an amazing week. We ended the night with fireworks. The next morning, we launched our volunteer portal, registration portal, and then we hosted a partner reception here at the center for all those partners who are really helping us reach this goal to be able to truly put off an amazing event next summer for over 4,800 athletes, coaches, and managers.
That's a lot of people.
There is. And all week long, and I had to say this, we still have a puzzle hunt going on, so look up to our website. And for everyone to join that, it's in 9 different locations here in St. John's and our surrounding municipalities, as well as yesterday we had a booth down at the Regatta Really, really busy. I'm really pleased to say we have signed up over 600 volunteers in less than 48 hours. We already have 400 planning volunteers actively working with us side by side. So it was an amazing day yesterday to see all the people come through the regatta booth, talk to us, learn more about the games, and Gusty made a few appearances and was quite popular down at that pond.
So like with mascots, it's always kind of interesting. You know, it's like, what are people going to think about the mascot? Sometimes you have mascots and people are like, oh, I don't know, but Gusty is really popular. Like actually popular. Like even when at the baseball game, I was like high-fiving Gusty. I'm like, why am I? But it's just, I don't know. Like it seems like everyone likes Gusty so far.
Everyone is loving Gusty, and we're so proud that a 10-year-old Michael designed Gusty. It was a contest that was put out there, so to have a young boy like that design, he's been part of the launch of Gusty. He threw the pitch out the other day.
A great first pitch, by the way.
Yeah, excellent. So, and just to see how well received Gusty has become has just been so incredible to watch. And yes, the young and the older are quite infatuated with Gusty at this point.
You're my main guest for this, right? So we're going to cycle through. We got a bunch of people to talk to through the course of 50 minutes for today. Who are we going to go to next? I guess the co-chairs.
Yes, I'm really, really excited to introduce Kim Keating and Carl Smith, who have been on this journey since day one. They were our co-chairs for the bid process, exceptional leaders, and extremely passionate and supportive of us executing this game.
All right, thanks, Karen. We'll bring them all. Hey, how you doing? All right. How do you like co-chairs? How does that happen?
We get a call from the mayor.
we were told to do it.
Yeah. So yeah, you get a call from the mayor. It's like, congratulations, you're now being voluntold to be co-chairs. What are your responsibilities then for this?
Keep Karen in check.
That's, I mean, which is a big job. So, Carl, we're thinking.
It's a huge job.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, the whole society's there to support the staff and the volunteers and liaise with the various funding partners. The federal government's got a big stake in this, the province does as well, and the city. So there's some legitimate governance as required, and this is where the whole society comes in, and there's committees, of that society, fundraising, logistics, and things like that. So it's, it's structure, and it adds that infrastructure and solid underpinnings to the games.
Kim, what about yourself?
Yeah, no, as Carl just said, our main task was really our first task was actually to get a CEO. So we were blessed to have Karen on the journey with us during the bid.
Good job there.
Yeah, and it was obvious to us that Karen was going to fill that role, and I think everyone was super excited about that. And then, as to Carl's point, we actually then formed the host society and incorporated, and then put the proper governance in place, and actually got an amazing team of volunteers to sit on our board as well. So we've been really fortunate throughout this process. We have some amazing business leaders and community leaders on our board to support us.
The main job of the other members of the whole society is to make Kim and I look good. They're doing a great job, I got to tell you.
It's great when you have a team that makes you look good, hey? It's, as I look at my team, they're both staring at me. Actually, Pike's just texting away there, so it's really important. Why personally? Like, why do you want to get involved with something like this? Because, you both have busy lives, you're both professionals working out there. Why?
Well, it's for me, it's something that I've never been involved in before. I mean, I've been involved in sports all my life and everything else, and my daughter actually participated in the Winter Games as a synchronized swimmer, so I had that exposure. But, patriotism is part of it, wanting to be part of something that's really, really special in your community. And, of all the cities in Canada that can pull this off, St. John's is probably the one that can give it the best shot, and it's going to be special. We knew that from the beginning, and once we got exposed to it, there was no turning back. We got sucked right into it,
Cool. When did you move from Stephenville? Was it 77 in to go to Munn?
I wasn't here for the Canada Games, but
just after.
Just after. I just missed those Canada Games. But a good friend of mine from my hometown, Stephenville Crossing, played on the lacrosse team that summer, and I was sort of his practicing cross-check-e. He was a cross-checker, and I was a cross-check-e.
There you go. That's a job. Yeah, good. That's good. Good. You're a good friend. What about yourself?
Yeah, so sport has played a huge part of not necessarily my life personally, but my daughters. I have 3 daughters who play basketball, and I've seen the impact of sport on my family personally in terms of just the leadership, team player, all the amazing transferable skills that they've been able to attain. And my daughter Ava actually was, when I was asked to join the team, playing for, or would have been playing in the Niagara 22 games.
Wow.
And then of course we had COVID and whatnot. And I really felt at the time, I was just, when the mayor called, I felt like, it was at a time, again, it was pre-COVID, but, oftentimes there's a lot of negativity. I just thought this was such an opportunity to bring some spirit and good energy and give something back to the youth and something to look forward to. So, you can't say no to that, so.
So then when you're out, what's the next year looking like for both of you? Because I'm sure there's one or two obligations that you're going to show up for. What do you got to be doing?
We asked Karen that.
Listen, the so-called heavy lifting, that's an exaggeration for the Host Society, is probably more behind us now.
Okay.
But the next year is going to be extremely busy, execution. But the thing is, we got all the building blocks in place. We got an excellent CEO. We got far along the path of the things we need to be at this particular stage. So everything is going according to plan. And the next year will fly by, there's no question about it. Volunteers will be a huge thing. Putting the finishing touches on fundraising, but we're doing really, really good there. So, it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of work, but a lot of fun at the same time. It's getting very real.
Yeah, especially when you've got that countdown clock that just keeps ticking down every second. It's just kind of like, oh, okay, there it is.
But still lots of times, still lots of opportunity for folks in the community to participate, whether to support us as a funding partner, a sponsor, and again, the volunteers. I mean, we've been fortunate to have so many sign up right now, but we're going to need so much more. So that's really what the next year is going to be about for us too, is getting those people in place, because they're the backbone of these games.
What do you think about the excitement factor for 1 year out? I was for Monday just at that the baseball bit, and you had parents and kids and people who were out, and I was like, oh, there's a thing here. There's excitement that's going through the air.
And I think it shows that people really are looking. They want some positive energy and fun things to get out and bring their kids out to. And I think this is what this is all about. I think it's really bringing us all together as a community, and we're a perfect place to have that, and all of our surrounding municipal partners as well. It's been an awesome experience so far.
Yeah, the difference now is the visibility. It's so visible. You talk about Gusty, he's going to be out and about and everything else, and he's so lovable, and it's tangible now. We were talking about it a lot beforehand, but it's hard to sort of get that picture of what the games look like. But now this center, the other night, Gusty around, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I think because the big thing in the beginning, I think, was just the question when we heard about the pitch and everything else. It's like, okay, what needs to be done? Can it be done in time? What about all the different sports venues? But as you're seeing them be completed, as you're seeing things progress, and now then you got Gusty walking in and around everywhere. You're right. There's a very different, real feeling to it than the beginning, where you're like, how is all of this going to happen, right? So it is pretty cool to see, and also thinking about then all the athletes, all the volunteers, and everyone having this big celebration in the next year. So so then after you do some radio today, what do you do? What's next for you? Going back to your regular jobs for the afternoon, or are you doing some Canada Game stuff?
Mix of both, actually.
Okay.
So we have a staff appreciation day today too, so we're going to hope to make an appearance there, and there's always work to do in between for myself and Carl, so we have a lot of balls in the air, but we're managing to pull it off and have some fun at the same time.
Absolutely, yeah. A few things on the go this afternoon, but it's this is always top of mind, though. When I wake up every morning, it's Canada Games that first pops into my mind, and spending time here on this is just so rewarding and so gratifying.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you both for taking the time. I much appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us.
All right,
Thanks for
guys.
coming out.
Thank you.
So co-chairs there, Kim Keating and Carl Smith. We're going to take a little song break, and tomorrow, by the way, we're out and about again in the community. We're going to be out on the pedestrian mall talking about summer, and I think some local politicians are going to stop by, perhaps the by-election candidates, I think. We're also going to hear from a restaurant owner. We've got some music lined up, and we're also going to hear from Selena Boland, who is got a new album out. She's going to stop by to talk about the new album, but here's Selena right now with Take My Heart and Run.
He moves slow like an animal. A distant memory of a recent dream.
I'm Adam Walsh. You're listening to The Signal for our 1 year out from the Canada Games happening here in Newfoundland and Labrador and St. John surrounding areas. Looking at that countdown again, 3, 6, 4, 11 hours, 37 minutes, and now 10 seconds, 9, 8, 7, as it goes on. My main guest for today is CEO Karen Sheriffs. Karen, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Thanks for this, hanging out. You're doing good. And great, like in and out of the show, right? Just having a chat through the whole hour.
Absolutely. Come anytime. You're always welcome here.
What was your first involvement with the Canada Games?
My first involvement was with the 1999 Canada Games. I worked as a sport coordinator with the host society, and then I went on to be mission staff, assistant chef to mission for 7 more games, and then as observer for 2 games as part of this role for 22 and 23 Canada Games. So 2025 will be my 10th Canada Games.
That's a lot.
It is.
A lot.
And that's why I keep coming back, because I absolutely love it. It's an amazing feeling. It's amazing for the community, amazing to see these athletes who have just trained so hard to compete. For some, it will be the pinnacle of their athletic career, and others will go on to be, Team Canada athletes, professional athletes, and leaders in our communities.
Yeah, I mean, that does paint quite the picture, right? Also then, for communities, when you see, I guess, the sports upgrade that kind of goes on, what's it like to kind of witness that in person, to see walking into whatever community it is and being like, everything's been upgraded, everyone's here, and what that can then give for longevity for example, I think for St. John's, I think the Aqua Arena from 77, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the key thing about the games. It's not just what happens during those 18 days during the games, it's what happening right now and well after the games. You referenced the Aqua Arena as 1977, huge legacy. Now the Aqua Arena is getting a completely upgrade, refresh, and imagine that another 30 years of legacy in a pool with diving tanks and 65-meter pool. It's unique in our country and unique in Atlantic Canada, and it's so exciting. I didn't think I'd ever be so excited to see asphalt go down at the Fortis Canada Games Center, the track, and the turf is starting to be laid. Amazing work happening up in Three Pond Barrens at the mountain bike course, and with a group of contractors as well as volunteers. So you're seeing a lot of progress this summer. It's really, really exciting.
Yeah, because that gets it. I'm just looking at some stats, right? Because we're talking about the games for next year, and we've said already in the show, 4,600 athletes and coaches, 17 sports, 13 provinces and territories, 70 staff to be hired, 5,000 volunteers. But then to get to what we're talking about now, the projected economic benefit, according to you folks, it says exceeds 100 million, right? But when you really do think about that, from the money being spent into the contract work, right? Yes. Then you're thinking of the heads and beds and everyone else staying, and some of the tourism stuff for next summer. What else do you see for economic benefit around this?
Well, I mean, it's really significant. Each games gets assessed after every single games, and the economic impact is actually just for the 18 days takeout.
Oh, so it's not even before.
No, This is just for the 18 days of the games. The games are certainly trending in the more $120 million economic impact mark. So significant. All these parents and spectators, grandparents, brothers and sisters who want to come and cheer on these athletes. They're going to be eating in our restaurants, they're going to be staying at hotels, they're going to be enjoying our arts and culture, our music scene, and just think how busy next summer is going to be for those 18 days with everybody coming who have been on this journey with these athletes, and they're cheer them on as they're competing.
And we said, how many volunteers?
Over 5,000.
Who do you need to find in order to wrangle all those people for volunteers? You need to have an exceptional person to do that.
We have just the person to do that.
Who is that person?
Colin Corcoran. He's with the Community Sector Council, and Colin is our volunteer lead on our Game Services Committee and has a great group of volunteers with him as well on this journey, and he is amazing, energy, passionate, and is going to be just the right person to get us 5,000 volunteers.
All right, I'm going to grill Colin about this now, because this is quite the challenge. No stranger to the show. I'm used to talking to people with Community Sector Council stuff. How you doing?
I am fantastic. And yes, we usually chat in my 9 to 5 professional role, so I'm incredibly proud and excited to talk to you as a volunteer today.
How and why for this? Did you get wrapped up in being a volunteer for this?
Well, a lot of things. The unique thing that we have here in Newfoundland and Labrador is the power of people and connections and our networks, and who we are and how we engage with each other. And so similar to others, somebody called, said, hey, Canada Games is coming up. This is an opportunity. We really would like you to be involved. And just like everybody else, I signed up to become a planning volunteer, and here I am.
How many people, again, I know we said 5,000 volunteers plus volunteers, but then yesterday at the regatta, you had a little, like there's a setup recruiting folks. When did you start to notice it was like, oh my gosh, it's turning into hundreds of people who are saying, sign me up for this thing?
Just a couple hours ago. So as of this week, with the regatta and other events, the baseball game, the celebrations for 1 year out, and this is already outdated, we've had 682 people sign up for Games Time volunteers. We also have an additional 400 plus who are planning volunteers and pre-games volunteers. That's everything from people who are sitting on the board, sitting on the various subcommittees, to the gusty show, to photography. And so between it all, we now have 1,128 volunteers, 1,129, 1,134, and as that clock counts down, the numbers go up.
That's awesome. As you get these folks in, right, you're bringing them in, what are the conversations like for onboarding people, like for what they're going to do and for some of this planning?
I must say I'm incredibly impressed with the onboarding process.
Yeah.
And this is coming from multiple games. And a lot of that knowledge on how to run a volunteer program, the iteration and then localizing to local context has been passed on from Canada Games to Canada Games. And so volunteers, when they engage in the process, is a very incredibly supportive and engaged process. And so volunteers who sign up for the games, particularly if they commit 32 hours, will be able to receive some garbs. You'll receive your official uniform for the games. You'll receive an accreditation badge, but you'll also receive training and orientation. And not only that, but engagement in industry experience in sport and entertainment. And so from that perspective, it's exciting for a volunteer to come in, and that's the type of atmosphere we're trying to create, and that's the only way you're able to recruit at this massive of a number.
There's been talk of the portal, right, for people volunteering. If someone's listening right now and they're like, you know what, everything that Colin Corcoran's saying, it sounds good to me, what do they need to do?
Absolutely. So www.2025canadagames.ca. It'll bring you immediately to how to get involved. You'll see the volunteer portal there. All you have to do is just click on the link and you fill in your information on our GEMS Pro system, and then the process takes over from there.
Tell me more about, because this, from everything you're saying from our previous conversations, this really matches with the values that you talk about a lot. So can you just talk to me a little bit about that, for like what this means for connecting people, connecting communities, and for building thriving communities and the folks in them?
Oh gosh, we're going to need a couple more shows.
Yeah, we're going to launch a podcast and we're going to start it next week.
So right out of the gate, if you can remember that, so in Newfoundland, Labrador, we have one of the highest rates of per-hour volunteerism. We are a giving province. So it fits incredibly well with who we are as a people. But in particular, in Newfoundland, Labrador, and an Atlantic Canadian perspective, sport is one of the top three spaces in which people volunteer their time, and volunteer the most of their time. And so what I'm really excited about with the benefits coming out of the Canada Games is for those 900 plus sports associations, local clubs, complexes, they are now going to get an influx of trained, vetted, and professional volunteers who've been through an event such as this. And this is everything from in the games itself and doing the timekeeping to the actual operations to the games, to even merchandising and sales, to other skills such as media and photography, to protocol. We are about to see 5,000 volunteers in this province be trained, get a supportive infrastructure, and then they're not going away after the games end. So what I'm really excited about is what this will do to help catalyze volunteerism in our province.
Especially when we have conversations around demographics in this province, and I know it's going to be all ages for volunteering still, but just to have this other from folks who perhaps already been volunteering for a while, but then some of the new folks coming in and what that can mean to different communities for when people are kind of learning this and then going back to their communities and having those skills for everything that the communities of Newfoundland and Labrador need, which we've talked about before on the show, right, when it comes to like where we're headed and populations, especially in rural parts of the province.
Oh, absolutely. So I'll speak about the demographics. So we're looking for volunteers from age 16 up. For volunteers who are age 16 to 18, you'll have to get parental sign-off, parental or guardian sign-off. But there's a role for everybody. There's 150 different roles that we've identified for volunteers in the Canada Games. And so there's a huge opportunity. And that goes across different generations as well. When we think about and we take a step back and we look at the demographics and we look at our sector here in Newfoundland and Labrador, of course we have an aging sector. We have an aging demographic and population. But that just means all the more reason for people of all ages to get engaged in something like this. It's not just the physical activity that leads to better outcomes. It's the socialization. It's being involved in something that makes you feel good at the end of the day. And it's this shared experience that people are going to have that they're going to talk about forever and a day. And what's a beautiful thing that we found out in going through this process is talking to other Games Time volunteers who volunteered at the 99 in Cornbrook or even the 77 in St. John's or across the country. They remember it. They remember the experience. They remember how they felt, and they were a part of a collective something. They were part of a team, and for our team Newfoundland Labrador, that's 5,000 strong.
Hit us with the portal one more time before I let you go.
Absolutely. www.2025canadagames.ca. And I hope that everybody who's listening tells a friend, tells 200 of their closest friends, and sign up today because we're excited to see you.
Colin, thanks for chatting again.
Thanks again, Adam.
All right, Colin Corkin there. Big job, right? Trying to get, but doing great so far, over 1,000 volunteers. I'm going to bring Karen Sheriffs back into the conversation as we dance in and out and talking all about 1 year out from the Canada Games. We're down to 3, 6, 4, 11 hours and 25 minutes and change. As we talk, the games are getting closer. Is that not stressing you out?
You can't get too stressed out. You just got to have a bit of fun. And listen, we have an amazing staff team who, you know, Monday night you saw them execute what they were able to execute with. And we tried out all different functional areas, tested different things, and, you know, the enthusiasm, passion, energy is still really good. And we're going to try to keep that going right until 364 days and 11 hours.
There we go. Who are we going to talk to next? Who's next on the list?
We are going to speak to Katrina Lemaidon.
Okay.
Katrina is the vice chair of the Canada Games Council Board, who is like our governing body of the games, and I think she goes without much introduction here as an amazing athlete, Olympic athlete, and a friend of us here at the Canada Games. So we're thrilled to have her here with us this week, and I think she will wow you.
All right, come on in. So you've been through the show. All right, so folks, we're at the Canada Games HQ, and behind us is a bunch of merch, and you've been just back there the whole time.
Well, I've been trying to, do more shopping because you can never have enough Canada Games stuff.
That is true. So this is just the spot to do it.
It is the spot to do it. So yes, I have a t-shirt and a hoodie, and now continuing to purchase more things, and of course for my kids as well, because everybody needs it.
And you can always have more. You can always have more merch.
Yes, and it's great merch.
Tell us about your role for next year.
So I'm vice chair of Canada Games Council, and working closely then, Canada Games Council works closely with the host society, and I've been a part of Canada Games actually for 41 years. So my first games, I just turned 12 back in '83. So I've kind of gone through every part of the games. 3 games as an athlete, and then I was part of media covering the games, and then on the Canada Games Council as a board member, and now vice chair. So I've seen the games evolve. I've seen them all across the country, and then to be here in St. John's for the 1 year out has been special. To have press conferences, went by the regatta, we had a appreciation lunch, the staff appreciation event today. So a little bit of everything, and as you say, we keep looking at that clock and going, okay, it's now, now is a year, but almost less than a year. So it's pretty incredible to see what the team has done and where it will be in 1 year time.
to have the national Canada Games level, but and that's a high level of competition. But then there's also the Olympic level of competition, which is also where you were for a long time. What's the difference like for you to watch that, like the Canada level, and then seeing folks then kind of graduate further and then represent their country like you did?
Well, it's a great stepping stone, and not just for Olympics, for Paralympics as well. And I think the beauty of a Canada Games is it's actually the only multi-sport event, which includes athletes in Olympic sport, athletes with a physical disability, and athletes with an intellectual disability. There's no other organization that does that except the Canada Games. And the Canada Games is unique. No other country in the world has a multi-sport event at that high performance, but almost youth level. And I say youth, they're athletes from sort of 13 to 23. But for myself, it was a real stepping stone in the speed skating world to understand what it was like to be in a multi-sport games, to live in a village, it's a different feeling. And yet I did a summer games, and that was the pinnacle of my career as well. And I knew I wouldn't go farther than Canada Games. So next year there will be athletes here, this is their dream, and this will be the pinnacle. And for others, it will be a stepping stone. Right now, the Paris Games are on, and we see athletes like Andre DeGrasse, Audrey Leduc, Rylan Weens, who won a medal in diving. All of those athletes came through the Canada Games, and we look at names like Sidney Crosby. So it really is a stepping stone for many. And it's about the sport, but it's also about developing coaches, developing officials, developing volunteers, and developing even, the bricks and mortar of the infrastructure and building a community even stronger.
And with that community, right? It's like every so often things can be, coming out of a pandemic, things can be hard on people, right? But to look at like a Canada Games and to look at what this means for a country, to bring folks together, what's it been like seeing that over the years for just all these folks from all across Canada getting together to celebrate something like sport that everyone can kind of really get behind?
Sport brings people together at the very grassroots all the way to the high performance. And so there's nothing like a Canada Games because we see the beauty of a community, and it's a time to showcase the community. From the 5,000 volunteers that will be a part of that, I mean, for many of these athletes, but also their families, this will, for many of them, be the very first time that they're in St. John's. And they might think, like, it's about building a future because these are the future leaders of our country. Perhaps they'll come back for work, for tourism. This will be an example of, wow, this is something I want to be a part of. And so I think there's so many more parts than just the sport because that lasts 17 days and it's amazing, but it's the legacy that is left within a community, and that's from every level.
So for the opening ceremonies next year, right, as everyone walks in, as someone who's done this a bunch of times before, what do you think the emotions and feelings and thoughts are around something as it really kicks off?
And I kind of am at a loss for words because any opening ceremony, they're my favorite, whether it's a Canada Games, whether it's an Olympic Games, because they're about pride in the province or territory that you're representing. And I'm going to tell you, I still have my clothing from 1983 when I was 12 years old, because it's something that you are so proud of. And when you walk into an opening ceremony, or for week 2 athletes when they were walking into the closing ceremony, wearing your province or territory's colors, you stand up a little taller, and that will always be your home. But you're a part of an event that does connect a nation. We are a huge nation. When you see those signs in Signal Hill, the fact that England is just as far as Calgary is, that's incredible. But yet, the sport and the games, they will connect us, and we are one nation, and we all are under the maple leaf, and that's what's really special.
So what's your sked now? When do you fly out of here, and what's the next year like for you then?
Well, actually, I fly out tomorrow to go to Montreal to host FanFest for the Olympics, the last weekend of FanFest. So bringing the stories from the Olympics to the community. Because to me, it's all about sport, and it's about how we're impacted by sport. So whether we are a fan of watching it, whether we're participating at grassroots, whether we're participating at high performance, sport connects us. And so, it's an exciting week, it's a fun week, and I already did some sightseeing and put a list of things that when I bring my kids out next year, I said to my daughter, these are some of the things we're going to see in a year's time.
How old are your kids, by the way?
20 and 17. So
right.
they both just kind of missed games with ringette and hockey, but they've witnessed them in Winnipeg in 2017 and Red Deer in 2019. So I'll be excited to bring them here.
And what's on this list that you're making? If you don't have to share too much if you don't want to.
Oh, no, well, I mean, Signal Hill, obviously. Went to see Chance Cove. So a little hiking, a little sightseeing, and just seeing the beauty of this province.
Thanks so much for the chat. And yeah, it's great to have, when the kids are here next year, to see you guys out and about and enjoying this place. So thanks so much.
My pleasure, thank you. You'll see me shopping more.
Yes, no, I'll let you get back to it now. So just as we're shooting the show there with John Pike, you'll be in the background trying things out.
Great.
And what would you recommend, by the way, for if we're going to buy something afterwards?
Hoodies and T-shirts. The Gusty socks are sold out, so order them online.
Okay. Gusty socks are sold out. Katrina Lemay, thank you so much.
My pleasure, thank you.
All right, I'm going to have to try to find me some of those Gusty socks, because if they're sold out, I'm fairly certain we'll be able to, before the year's out, we'll probably be able to get our hands on, our mitts on a couple pairs. You're listening to The Signal. It is 1 year out, like I keep saying, right? Like I keep looking at the countdown clock, 364 days, 11 hours, 16 minutes now and 47 seconds until the start of the Canada Games in and around St. John's for Newfoundland and Labrador. I'm going to bring Karen Sheriffs back into my main guest here today, the CEO for the Canada Games. Do you have any, as I knock over some merch, can you put that on our tab? Where the Signal's got a pretty good budget. Do you have any of these Gusty socks or what?
I actually do not have the Gusty socks yet, but I'm definitely going to be getting a pair. Yeah. Yes, the merchandise is amazing. Sporting some here now. Most of us in this room are. Yeah, it's our new uniform every day.
Every day, right?
Yeah.
So everyday uniform, the mantra, thinking all about the countdown as stuff moves beyond. I keep asking, though, like looking ahead for the year, there's still construction going on, so are there any worry points? Like, is there, like, the timelines for everything? Like, there's a track and field, the updates to the Aqua Arena. How is all of that looking?
We have a big schedule.
A big Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, no, all of the projects are being really closely monitored and tracked. We're working, we have 25 different capital projects occurring. We're working really closely with everybody who's managing those projects on time, looking at different decision points as we're going along. This is working, okay, let's pivot here, that sort of thing. And it's been a really great process to date. We're working with amazing venue managers and facility owners, and to get these venues ready. Everyone is really excited about seeing the upgrades that's happening to every single one of our venues. Smallwood Field, City of Mount Pearl, that just had a full upgrade done, and that field is basically now Canada Games ready with a few little tweaks and changes, preparing for next year.
We've got one more person to talk to, I believe. Who is it? It's an athlete.
It is an athlete, and I'm really, really proud to introduce Declan Walsh. And Declan is a tennis player. He was at the 22 Canada Games, and just an amazing young man, and I think you are going to have a wonderful time speaking to Declan.
Come on over, Declan. And I didn't ask you before, I'm fairly certain we're not related, so how you doing?
Oh, yeah, no.
Excellent. When did you start playing? How old were you when you started playing tennis?
I was 5 years old when I started playing, so it was back in 2013. So I just entered a rec program at the Greenbelt Tennis Club, and I've loved it ever since.
First Canada Games, Niagara 2022. What was that like?
That was, it really was an experience I'll never forget. I mean, looking back on all the things I've done in the past 10 years, I think that's definitely number one for me. It was a completely different experience from everything else, really, because you're there with a team, right? And on the tennis court, it's you usually, and it's only you out there. You got to deal with the pressure, the opponent and everything, but. Having a team behind your back and everyone cheering, and it's such a different atmosphere, and it's really something that I'll cherish and never forget.
So what's the next year look like for you as you try for next year at home?
Yeah. So I'm looking at the clock.
No pressure.
I'm looking at the clock. For me, it's a little different. It's 364 days to train up until the next games. But yeah, I'm really hoping I'll get to be a part of it. It'll be a super exciting experience. It's gonna be great, not only for the athletes that compete, but it's gonna be great for sort of the little ones who might be eligible for 2029. Like they'll have an opportunity to see what the Canada Games is like. I hope it'll be fuel for them. I coach some of the little ones, so I'm hoping they'll get to come out and see it. But yeah, I think it's going to be a really great experience for us and for them to try and make that next Games as well.
I was looking at your notes for last time, for 2022. Did you you had to beat one of your former coaches in order to get into it, or how did that? What's the story there?
Yes, that was. I think it was 2020. I think that was. That was from the provincial championship. So yeah, that was a tight match. One of my old coaches I got to play, but that was definitely one I'll never forget. It was during so that one was really isolated. That was during COVID. So like my parents were like no one was watching. It was just us two out there, and then the tournament director. So it was a lot different experience from Canada Games. But that's one of probably my favorite matches that I remember.
So then when you're coaching kids now, you're looking at them being like,
Yeah,
which one of you?
I'm a little worried now. I come back in 5 or 6 years and suddenly they're beating me. Like, oh, I don't know about that.
What's the process for qualifying for next year?
So yeah, eventually we're going to get some training camps going. Things are still being figured out with that. But once we have a training squad going and a coach picked out, all those will occur. There'll be a few weekends we do some training, and eventually a few months before the athletes will be picked.
When you're training for this kind of a thing, how often are you on the court training? Like, what's your training schedule like?
So right now it's a little tough. So at the moment there is no provincial coach. So we're hoping to get one pretty soon. We've been out one now for a year and a half or so. But I'm trying the best with what I have. So just out kind of playing with some of the adults that are around, doing training on my own. But yeah, just figuring things out. It's a little different than it has been in the past few years, but I'm getting adjusted to it.
Did you watch tennis? I'm assuming yes, but tennis for the Olympics?
I did, yeah. No, that was yeah, it was cool because it's also the sort of thing like it was at the French Open at the French Open Stadium, so you had kind of half the crowd divided for whoever the two players were playing. It was a lot different to watch. It was a lot of fun. Like you got to see probably the last Rafa Novak match played. Got to see him. So Felix won gold for Canada. Or he didn't win gold. Sorry, he won bronze. Yeah. He did medal though in the doubles. He got fourth in the singles as well. So
which is fantastic.
That was incredible to see. Yeah. So even seeing some of the Canadians who and some of them have come through the Canada Games as well. So it was really cool to see them make the podium.
What did you think of the emotional moment when Djokovic won the gold? As someone who's playing competitively, to see someone who's won everything except for this, and then actually to have such an emotional moment, what was that like?
Yeah, that was that's sort of his one last accomplishment to make. I'm gonna put on the record, I'm not the biggest Djokovic fan.
Yeah, me neither.
But no, but I will. I was always a Federer fan, and
same.
It always hurt me when Djokovic got him, but it was cool. It was cool to see him kind of accomplish his career. Yeah. That was his last. That was the last thing that he really wanted, and he made that clear from especially the start of this year. But he's made that clear basically since he hasn't won gold. But it was pretty cool to see. And it was. He's gone through some injuries now in the past while. He's getting a bit older, and you have like Alcaraz and Sinner on the scene now. He had to get through Alcaraz in the final, but yeah, it was pretty cool, and just seeing the emotion let out, especially from someone who's like those were real tears of joy, and you don't often see that from him. It was pretty cool to see.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you compete next year, and thanks for stopping by for this chat today.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, thanks, Adam.
All right, so Declan Walsh there. Like I said, no relation. That's it for, at least we don't think. We're probably related. Who knows, right? We'll find out later. It's like, what do you mean we have the same great-grandparent? All right, we're pretty much done here now today for the show. The Signal live on location, 1 year out from the Canada Games. Karen Sheriffs, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Final thoughts before I throw to a song to get out of the show?
Well, we can't do this without all the people, the community, the volunteers, we know we're going to put off an amazing games, but it will be because of all the people behind that, our volunteers, our staff, our boards, our committees. Our amazing spirit and hospitality is going to shine through next year. But we do have a few fun things. So there is a medal contest currently out there now, looking for a designer to design our medals for all these athletes, and what an amazing thing to put your name onto. So anyone out there with artistic talents, be sure to get in contact with us.
All right, thanks for this.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure, and
We're going to do this again.
We certainly will.
See ya.
Thank you, Adam.
All right, folks, that is it for today's show. Tomorrow, guess what? Live out and about in the community again. We'll be live on the Pedestrian Mall lunchtime. So if you're downtown on the Ped Mall tomorrow, come check us out. Come say hi. We've got a lot of folks to talk to. In the meantime, we're going to toss to a song to bring us out before we go to your Olympic update for Paris 2024. And I believe it's Nico Paulo. Enjoy it, and we'll catch you again tomorrow. Thanks, folks.
I'm learning my ways again. The storm comes back and back again. I see her all across the lake. But I can only wait. These buildings stay planted here. Those storms come back every year. And my only shelter is your